Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to really dive deep into this idea of self-love and how it can really I don't know, impact your relationships in a positive way and
Oh,
make them stronger. So, we're looking at this article from Tiny Buddha called How to Develop Self-Love and Why This Will Strengthen Your Relationship. It's by Brad Alexander.
ugh.
Have you ever felt like you were searching for that missing piece, in a relationship? Like you needed someone else to, I don't know, complete you?
Yeah, that's a really common experience. And
Hmm.
the article actually starts by challenging that whole idea.
Yeah.
It starts with this really powerful quote by P.S. Scotty. An outstanding love doesn't come from two half-fulfilled people coming together to make one whole, complete life. Outstanding love comes from two whole people coming together to share and enhance their already full and beautiful lives.
Wow. Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah.
It really flips the script on that whole finding your other half thing, doesn't it? It's more like finding someone who, I don't know, complements your already awesome self.
Exactly. And I think, relying on a partner to complete you can actually be detrimental to the relationship. You know what I mean?
Right.
It creates this dynamic of dependency
Yeah.
where one person feels responsible for the other person's happiness.
Oh, for sure.
And that's just a lot of pressure.
Yeah, too much pressure.
Yeah. And it can lead to all sorts of problems of resentment, codependency, and ultimately, a loss of individuality.
It's like building a house on shaky ground.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And you know what? The author of this article, Brad Alexander, he actually talks about how his own past relationships suffered because he lacked self-love.
hmm
He was constantly seeking validation from his partners, which, well, just led to disappointment and heartbreak.
Yeah, his story is so relatable. I think, a lot of us have been there at some point, right?
Oh, really?
We look to others to fill a void within ourselves, and then when they inevitably fall short, yeah, we blame them
Yeah.
for the relationship.
The blame game is just so toxic. So does this mean you have to be a self-love guru before you even think about getting into a relationship?
No, not at all. The article emphasizes that self-love is a process.
Okay.
It's ongoing,
Mhm.
It's something you can definitely work on within a relationship too.
Oh,
Think of it like renovating a house while you're still living in it.
okay.
Yeah, it might be messy at times, but it's definitely possible.
I love that analogy. It
Yeah,
takes the pressure off.
totally.
Okay, so the article lays out 6 tips for developing self-love.
Okay.
The first one is maintaining space and independence.
Okay.
But this seems counterintuitive, When you're trying to build a strong relationship, why is it important to have space?
Well, it's all about preserving your individuality.
Okay.
When you have your own interests, hobbies, friendships, things outside of the relationship,
Yeah,
it prevents the relationship from becoming your sole source of identity.
that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. And it allows you to bring your best self to the relationship because you're not relying on your partner for constant entertainment or fulfillment.
So it's not about being distant or pulling away, it's about having that healthy balance.
Precisely.
Hmm.
It's about ensuring both partners feel fulfilled
Mm,
as individuals, which ultimately strengthens the connection between them.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Okay, the next tip is a big one. Remember that you are the master of your own happiness.
Ooh, yes.
But what does that even mean? It's easy to say, but how do you actually, put it into practice?
Well, I think it's about recognizing that happiness isn't something you get from someone else.
Okay.
It's an internal state that you cultivate.
Hmm.
It's about choosing to focus on the positive, practicing gratitude, and, actively engaging in activities that bring you joy.
Choosing happiness, that sounds kind of abstract to me.
Yeah.
Can you give me, a concrete example? What if you're having a really rough day, everything's going wrong, how do you choose happiness then?
Yeah, I think that's where mindfulness can be really powerful.
Uh-huh.
Instead of getting swept away by, negative emotions, you can just pause.
Take a breath.
Yeah, take a few deep breaths. Observe your thoughts and feelings without judgment.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's about shifting your perspective, focusing on what you can control, and finding those small moments of joy, even amidst challenges.
So, changing your mindset and maybe even, seeking out those things that bring you joy,
Yeah,
like listening to your favorite music or going for a walk or spending time on a hobby.
exactly. It's about actively creating moments of happiness rather than waiting for them to just magically appear.
Right.
Yeah, and when you cultivate that inner joy, it spills over into your relationships.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it creates a more positive and supportive dynamic.
That makes sense. Okay, so the article says to see in yourself what your partner sees in you.
Oh, yeah.
This one feels a little cheesy, but I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What's the thinking behind this?
Well, it might sound cheesy, but it's actually a really powerful way to, boost self-esteem.
Okay.
Sometimes it's easier to see the good in others than in ourselves, right?
Right.
I mean, we can be our own worst critics,
Totally.
but our partners often see these amazing qualities in us that we overlook, or undervalue.
So, like asking your partner what they love about you.
Exactly. Hearing those positive affirmations from someone you trust and love can be incredibly validating. It can
Yeah.
help you see yourself in a new light and appreciate, your strengths, your unique qualities.
Okay, I'm starting to see the value in this one. It's
Yeah,
like getting a personalized pep talk from someone who knows you best.
totally.
Okay, what about when those flaws inevitably pop up? The article says not to get disheartened when we see them.
Huh?
Why is that? Isn't self-improvement all about like identifying and fixing our flaws?
Well, self-improvement is definitely important,
Right.
but it's crucial to approach it with, self-compassion. I
Okay.
think relationships can act as mirrors. They reflect back to us not only our strengths, but also our weaknesses.
Yeah.
And while that can be uncomfortable,
Oh, yeah.
it's an essential part of growth.
So it's about acknowledging our flaws without letting them like define us.
Precisely. Everyone has flaws. It's part of being human.
Yeah.
You know, Embracing our imperfections can actually increase our self-compassion and make us more relatable to others.
So it's about progress, not perfection.
Absolutely.
Okay, good.
Yeah, recognizing that can take a lot of pressure off, both ourselves and our relationships.
For sure. Now, this next tip really resonates with me. Forgive yourself for your feelings.
Mm,
We all make mistakes, especially, in the context of relationships.
of course.
But why is self-forgiveness so important?
Well, I think holding on to guilt or shame just erodes our self-love.
Yeah, and it can damage our relationships too.
Exactly.
Like this one hits close to home for me. I tend to dwell on past mistakes. I have a hard time letting go.
Yeah, it's a common struggle. But it starts with recognizing that we're all human, we all make mistakes.
Right.
It's about acknowledging the hurt we may have caused, both to ourselves and others,
Yeah.
making amends where possible.
Mm.
But it's also about extending compassion to ourselves, recognizing that we were doing the best we could with the knowledge and resources we had at the time.
So it's about releasing that negative energy
Yeah,
and allowing ourselves to move forward.
exactly. Self-forgiveness is like a powerful act of self-love that frees us from the burden of the past.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah,
So we can embrace the present moment.
yeah, with more clarity and peace.
That makes a lot of sense. And speaking of embracing the present moment, the last tip is about remembering that love is an action, not just a feeling.
Ooh, yes.
So what does that mean in the context of self-love?
Well, it's about recognizing that self-love isn't just like a passive emotion. It's something we actively cultivate through our actions.
Okay.
It's about making a conscious effort to prioritize our well-being, to nourish our minds and bodies,
Yeah.
and to engage in activities that bring us joy and fulfillment.
So like treating ourselves with the same care and consideration we would offer to, someone we love.
Exactly. And that includes setting healthy boundaries, honoring our needs,
Yes.
and making time for self-care.
This whole conversation is making me think about my own self-care routine.
Okay.
I've recently started incorporating a daily meditation practice.
Oh, nice.
It's only like 10 minutes each morning,
Yeah.
but it helps me feel so grounded and centered,
Hmm.
like a little gift I give myself.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you found something that truly nourishes you.
Yeah, it really does.
And that's what self-care is all about, right?
Yeah.
Finding those activities that bring you joy, peace,
Yeah.
a sense of renewal.
Yeah, for sure. And
Yeah.
it doesn't have to be these big, grand gestures. Even small acts of self-love can make a big difference.
Absolutely. It's about being intentional with our time and energy, making ourselves a priority.
Yeah, for sure.
And the beautiful thing is that when we cultivate self-love, it just naturally spills over into our relationships.
Oh, yeah.
It creates a more positive and supportive dynamic.
It's like a ripple effect.
Exactly. And that ripple effect can transform not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's a great place to, wrap up this first part, I think. We'll be back with part 2 soon.
It's amazing, isn't it, how, taking care of ourselves can have such a positive impact on our relationship.
Yeah, it's almost like we become more, magnetic or something
Right.
when we're coming from a place of self-love.
Absolutely. When we're grounded and secure within ourselves, we don't need to seek that validation or approval from others.
Right.
We can show up authentically and connect with others from a place of wholeness.
Yeah, that makes total sense. But what about those who are single, though?
Okay.
Is self-love just as important for them? I mean, they don't have a partner to, like, reflect their good qualities back to them or to benefit from their, increased self-awareness.
That's a great question. And honestly, I think self-love is even more crucial for those who are single.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, think about it.
All
When
right.
we're in a relationship, we have that like built-in support system, someone to share our lives with,
Mm.
offer comfort and companionship.
Yeah.
But when we're single, we're relying solely on ourselves for that emotional support and fulfillment.
So it's about creating that sense of, like, inner security and wholeness regardless of our relationship status.
Exactly. When we love and accept ourselves, we're less likely to seek validation from, external sources,
Right.
whether it's romantic relationships, social media, the approval of others.
Mm.
We become more confident, more resilient, and ultimately more capable of creating healthy, fulfilling relationships when we are ready for them.
Okay, that's really empowering.
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off finding that, perfect someone
Right.
and shifts the focus to becoming the best version of ourselves.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that we are already whole and complete on our own.
Yeah.
And that wholeness makes us more attractive to others, both romantically and platonically.
It's funny how that works, right?
Yeah.
The more we focus on ourselves, the more we draw positive people and experiences into our lives.
It's the law of attraction in action, right?
Yeah.
When we radiate self-love and confidence,
Yeah.
we attract others who resonate with that energy.
Hmm.
And those connections tend to be more genuine and fulfilling
Yeah.
because they're not based on, neediness or insecurity.
So it sounds like self-love is like a win-win situation.
Totally.
Regardless of your relationship status,
Yeah.
it benefits you as an individual and it ripples out to create stronger, healthier connections with others.
Absolutely. And remember, self-love isn't a destination, it's a journey.
Hmm.
It's an ongoing process of growth, self-discovery, and acceptance.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And the more we cultivate self-love, the more we have to give to others,
Yeah.
creating that ripple effect of positivity and love in all our relationships.
Speaking of giving to others, one of the tips we discussed was making time for self-care.
Yes.
The article specifically mentions scheduling me time, even if it's just a few minutes each day.
Hmm.
I've been struggling with this lately, feeling like I'm constantly putting everyone else's needs before my own.
It's so easy to fall into that trap, especially in today's, fast-paced world.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with demands and distractions, and it can be really hard to prioritize our own well-being.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Between work, family, social obligations,
Yeah.
I feel like I'm running on fumes most of the time.
Mhm.
And the thought of adding one more thing to my to-do list, even if it's for self-care, just feels overwhelming.
I hear you. But here's the thing about self-care.
Okay.
It doesn't have to be this, like, grand gesture.
Okay.
It can be as simple as taking 5 minutes to sit in silence and enjoy a cup of tea,
Mm.
listen to your favorite music, taking a quick walk in nature.
I think that's where I've been going wrong.
Yeah.
I've been thinking of self-care as this elaborate thing. Like, I need to schedule hours for, like, spa days or weekend retreats.
Yeah.
But in reality, it can be much smaller,
Yeah,
more manageable.
exactly. It's about finding those little pockets of time throughout the day to, like, reconnect with yourself, recharge your batteries, do something that brings you joy.
You're right. I've been so focused on the big picture that I've neglected the small, everyday moments that can make a big difference in my mood and energy levels.
Yeah.
I'm gonna, like, make a conscious effort to incorporate those, micro moments of self-care into my routine.
I think you'll be amazed at how much of a difference those small acts of self-love can make.
Yeah.
It's not about adding more to your plate,
Right.
but rather about finding ways to nourish yourself within the flow of your day.
I love that perspective. It's about shifting the focus from quantity to quality.
Yes,
Even just 5 minutes of dedicated me time can be so restorative
totally.
if you're fully present and engaged in the experience.
Absolutely. And the more you practice those small acts of self-care, the more natural it becomes to prioritize your well-being
Yeah.
and to create a more balanced and fulfilling life.
So to wrap things up, what's the key takeaway you want listeners to, walk away with from this deep dive?
The key takeaway is this. Self-love is not selfish. It's essential. It's the foundation for a happy, healthy, and fulfilling life, both individually and in our relationships.
I love that.
Yeah, it's about recognizing our worth embracing our imperfections and treating ourselves with kindness, compassion, and respect.
It's about being our own best friend,
Yes,
our own biggest cheerleader.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And when we do that, everything else falls into place.
Mm.
Our relationships become stronger, our lives become more fulfilling, and we just, radiate a sense of joy and confidence that draws positive people and experiences into our lives.
This has been such an insightful conversation.
Yeah,
I
and
just feel like we've just scratched the surface of this topic, and I'm sure our listeners have a lot to think about.
I agree. Self-love is a vast and multifaceted topic, and there's always more to learn and explore.
So to leave our listeners with a final, thought-provoking question,
Okay?
what's one small act of self-love they can commit to this week?
Hmm,
How do you think that might impact their relationships?
that's a great question. I encourage everyone to take a moment to reflect on what truly nourishes them,
Okay.
what brings them joy, and what makes them feel loved and cared for.
Yeah.
It could be something as simple as taking a walk in nature, listening to their favorite music, or spending time with loved ones.
Or maybe it's something as simple as taking a few deep breaths,
Yeah.
practicing gratitude, or giving themselves a compliment.
Exactly. Whatever it is, I encourage everyone to make a conscious effort to incorporate at least one small act of self-love into their daily routine,
Yeah.
because even the smallest gestures of self-care can have a profound impact on our well-being and ripple outwards, creating more loving and fulfilling relationships.
It's like planting a seed of love that grows and blossoms, enriching not only our own lives, but also the lives of those around us.
Beautifully said.
And on that beautiful note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into self-love.
It's been a pleasure exploring this topic with you,
Likewise.
and I hope our listeners feel empowered to embark on their own self-love journeys.
I'm sure they do. And remember, self-love is not only a gift you give to yourself, but also a gift you give to the world.
Yes.
So go out there and spread that love, starting with yourself. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.
Yeah, it's true. Self-love really is the gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
As we've been talking, I've realized that self-love, well, it isn't just about, bubble baths and face masks. It's about something, I don't know, like deeper, right?
You're absolutely right. It's about cultivating this deep sense of self-worth, recognizing that we're, inherently valuable no matter our achievements or our appearance or even what other people think of us. It's about, accepting ourselves, flaws and all, and treating ourselves with the same kindness and compassion we would offer, to a loved one.
Exactly. And that includes things like setting healthy boundaries, honoring our needs, making choices that align with our values, and, just being our authentic selves.
That reminds me of this quote I heard recently. Self-care is not selfish, it's self-preservation. It's about recognizing that we can't, pour from an empty cup. We need to take care of ourselves first so we can show up for others,
I love that quote. It really captures, I think, the essence of self-love. It's not about neglecting our responsibilities or becoming self-absorbed. It's about making sure that we're grounded and resourced so we can navigate, life's challenges with grace and resilience.
It's like putting on your own oxygen mask first,
Yeah,
before assisting others on an airplane.
exactly. We need to prioritize our own well-being to, be of service to others. And that starts with cultivating a strong sense of self-love.
Wow, this whole conversation has been so eye-opening. I feel like I have a whole new perspective on self-love and its ripple effect on our relationships.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Yeah.
And remember, the journey of self-love, it's ongoing. It's about those small, consistent efforts to nurture ourselves, embrace those imperfections, and celebrate, our unique strengths and qualities.
It's about being patient with ourselves, recognizing that self-love is a practice, not a destination.
Absolutely. Some days will be easier than others, and that's okay.
Hmm.
The key is to just keep showing up for ourselves, even when we don't really feel like it, and just celebrate every step, every step we take towards greater self-acceptance and love.
Well, on that inspiring note, I think it's time to wrap up this deep dive into the transformative power of self-love.
It's been a pleasure really exploring this topic with you, and I hope our listeners feel empowered to embark on their own, self-love journeys.
I'm sure they do. And remember, self-love is not only a gift you give to yourself, but also a gift you give to the world. So go out there and spread that love, starting with yourself. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive.